In bull riding, death can come in a heartbeat, one bad landing, one missed move, but some cowboys have stared death in the face and climbed back on. These are 10 times bull riders escape death in the arena. 10. Bradie Gray versus Levi the Boss. 20-year-old Bradie Gray was competing in a bull riding event when he was bucked off aggressively by the bull. On June 16, 2017, during the College National Finals Rodeo (CNFR) in Casper, Wyoming, USA, Gray was bucked off by a bull named Levi the Boss. Things didn't end here. After hitting the ground, the bull stepped on his chest, causing severe trauma. He suffered multiple critical injuries, including internal bleeding, organ damage, broken ribs, collapsed lungs, and a bruised aorta. He was rushed to the Wyoming Medical Center in critical condition. He had no pulse at the time he arrived at the hospital and was put in a medically induced coma. He was also placed on a ventilator. Doctors gave Gray only a 40% chance of survival initially due to the extent of his injuries and the risk of complications like infection or further internal damage. Things got so bad his heart stopped at some point. Gray later shared in interviews that he doesn't remember much of the ride or immediate fall, but waking up connected to machines was a shock. His family flew from Australia to be by his side, and the bull riding world poured in messages of support. After his time in the hospital, Gray went through a long rehab process and was back to bull riding after 7 months. Levi the Boss clearly showed Gray who the boss was, but we are glad this next bull failed to live up to its name. 9. Zach Brown versus 070 Gravedigger. Just like Gray, who almost lost his life at 20, Zach Brown came close to dying in the arena. He was also 20 and was up against a bull known as 070 Gravedigger. Riding in round 2 of the NILE Invitationals in Billings, Zach Brown only needed 8 clean seconds on Gravedigger. He was ready for it, but the bull had already sent a few riders to the hospital and he had no idea he'd be next.
That's what knocked him out, you guys.
And then I think after that, Michael, watch again as he's on the ground. I think when he rolls back over, hoof goes right in his chest. Watch this shot.
During the ride, the bull threw Brown off with ferocious power, and he landed on his head and shoulder in the dirt. But Gravedigger wasn't done. He charged back, goring Brown's left side with his horn, and then stepping directly on Brown's chest and pelvis with both front hooves. The impact was huge. Brown sustained a concussion with a brief loss of consciousness. He also had to deal with a small intestine perforation. Brown underwent emergency surgery at Deaconess Billings Hospital that same night and was able to go on with his career. 8. Ty Pozzobon versus Coyote. While his career lasted, Ty Pozzobon suffered several blows to his head, and this knockout in 2014 was one of the most significant. During a PBR event in Fresno, Ty drew the infamous long-horned bull Coyote. This bull had a reputation for his explosive power, tight spins, and relentless aggression. Coyote wasn't known for mercy. It didn't just throw riders, it chased them. A true nightmare matchup for any cowboy. Ty was bucked off mid-ride. As he hit the dirt, Coyote didn't stop there. The bull trampled him, stomping directly on Ty's helmet, face mask, collarbone, and chest. This scenario wasn't fatal, but it could have been. Ty was unconscious and carried out of the arena. Scans confirmed a concussion, along with injuries to his collarbone and chest. He was sidelined briefly, but, like many riders, pushed through to return to competition. That hit could have ended it all, but for Ty, head injuries became a haunting pattern, one that started years earlier. 7. Ty Pozzobon versus Chocolate Thunder. 2 years before his encounter with Coyote, Pozzobon faced a bull known as Chocolate Thunder. He was bucked off during this ride and had an awkward fall. In 2012, at a professional bull riders PBR event in Nampa, Idaho, Ty Pozzobon, then around 20 years old and climbing the ranks, drew Chocolate Thunder, a respected bucking bull known for moderate but deceptive power. Unlike Coyote's explosive spins, Chocolate Thunder was a solid mid-tier bull with quick directional changes and enough kick to challenge young riders. Ty was thrown off during the ride, striking his head on the ground in the process.
He's stunned when he hits the ground.
It's hard to describe the force.
The impact caused a concussion, one of the earliest documented in his professional career. Ty recovered relatively quickly, returning to competition within weeks. This wreck was less severe than his later 2014 Coyote incident, but marked the start of cumulative brain trauma. Next up, a rider suffered a near-fatal blow to the jugular. 6. Zach Naegele, horn to the jugular. On February 7th, 2025, 24-year-old bull rider Zachary Naegele from Greensburg, Louisiana experienced a life-threatening accident. He was participating at the Conley Invitational Bull Ride in Palmetto, Florida. A couple of seconds into his ride, the bull's horn slipped under his helmet and struck his neck, nicking his jugular vein, severing a small carotid artery. Doctors called his survival a miracle, crediting the quick actions of first responders and medical staff at Manatee Memorial Hospital, where he underwent emergency surgery to repair the artery and perform plastic surgery on his neck. He spent 3 days in the ICU before being discharged, but the injury sidelined him for at least 8 weeks. Naegele has leaned heavily on his faith throughout recovery, telling outlets, "If you don't know God and you're getting on bulls, you're walking on a very thin line." He went on to say, "I know that God has bigger plans for me in life." By mid-February 2025, he was back home in Louisiana focusing on physical therapy for the nerve damage while expressing profound gratitude. To cover mounting medical bills and lost income, Naegele launched a GoFundMe campaign titled Join Zach Naegele's Journey to Recovery, which has garnered support from the rodeo community. As of the latest updates, he's determined to return stronger, aiming specifically for a spot on the PBR's Oklahoma Wildcatters team. Enduring a ruptured jugular is terrible, but so is having broken ribs. 5. Justin McBride versus Mission Pack. You don't win 2 world titles without facing a few demons. And for Justin McBride, one of them was a bull named Mission Pack. The 3rd-generation rider expected an ordinary run, but the moment he hit the dirt, it nearly cost him his life. During the Ford Championship round at the 2003 Grand Rapids Invitation round of the Grand Rapids Invitational in Grand Rapids, McBride drew Mission Pack, a powerful bull that bucked him off early. As he fell, the 2,000-plus pound bull stepped on him, causing severe trauma. McBride broke at least a rib and suffered a punctured right lung, leading to internal bleeding and difficulty breathing. He was admitted to Butterworth Hospital in Grand Rapids with a chest tube inserted to re-expand the lung. He remained there for a few days.
Appropriate to talk about where he is in the standings. We're just hoping that Justin is okay at this point.
You know, I tell you, this is as bad as it gets. I mean, bull riding, we see wrecks all the time, but
he was thankfully able to recover enough to compete at the World Finals, where he went head-to-head with Chris Shivers. 4 years after this accident, McBride had to deal with another deadly blow in the arena. 4. Justin McBride versus Wintwister, 2007 PBR wreck. Justin McBride was paired with a bull called Wintwister and lasted only about 4 seconds before he was bucked off. The wreck occurred during a BFTS event in mid-2007. Wintwister, a massive and explosive bull, was drawn for McBride in an elimination round. McBride made a strong initial spurring move but was quickly bucked off after about 3 to 4 seconds. As he hit the dirt, Wintwister landed directly on him with full force. The beast stomped on his torso and legs in a wreck that could have ended careers. The impact caused significant bruising, possible rib trauma, and internal strain, but miraculously no fractures or long-term damage were reported. McBride lay motionless briefly before being helped to sit up and then all the way to his feet. He was finally helped out of the arena to thunderous applause. McBride shook off the trauma quickly, missing minimal time and returning to win more events that season. He later joked in interviews about eating dirt, but emphasized it fueled his drive for the world title. 3. Guilherme Marchi versus Kiss Psycho Circus. In 2013, during round 2 of the PBR Last Cowboy Standing event in Las Vegas, Brazilian bull riding legend Guilherme Marchi drew the explosive bucking bull Kiss Psycho Circus. This matchup became infamous for one of the most brutal hang-ups in recent PBR memory. Marchi, known for his fearless aggression and record-breaking consistency, was deep into the event but met his match in this rodeo wreck.
This looks bad.
Kiss Psycho Circus unleashed a deadly combination of tight spins, massive kicks, and lateral torque. Marchi managed to stay on initially, showcasing his signature low center of gravity style, but the bull's violent exit strategy caught him off guard. After a few seconds, Marchi was bucked off, but was still linked to the bull by a rope. He was dragged and whipped violently for a moment and slammed into the arena floor multiple times. The crowd gasped as bullfighters and stockmen rushed in to free him, with one fighter narrowly avoiding a big hit. Marchi suffered severe injuries, including a dislocated shoulder, torn ligaments, and significant bruising, forcing him out of the event. He was stretchered off but avoided fractures or head trauma. 2. Silvano Alves, skull-crushing Stomp. Silvano Alves, a Brazilian bull riding icon, has faced off against countless elite bulls in his career. One of his most infamous encounters was with Cochise, a notorious PBR bucking bull known for his explosive power and unforgiving style. This matchup occurred during the 2016 PBR 1515 bucking battle in New York City, where Cochise delivered a career highlight level wreck to Alves. On January 15, 2016, Alves was bucked off in seconds by Cochise's violent spin and drop. The bull's aggressive exit from the chute led to Alves being taken out in a hard slam, highlighting why Cochise was and remains one of the rankest bulls in PBR history. After the buck-off, Cochise stomped on Alves. Initially, this seemed unintentional, however, the beast didn't walk away. It was still interested in hurting the rider, ultimately stepping on him one more time before walking away. Alves was knocked out and couldn't get out of the arena without any help. It was the first time he was getting knocked out by a bull, and it was just so hard to watch. Madison Square Garden got silent while he was being treated. Lonnie Steverson versus Tuff-E-Nuff. In 1998, during the Professional Bull Riders PBR Championship round, professional bull rider Lonnie "Lonzo" Steverson faced off against the notoriously aggressive bucking bull Tuff-E-Nuff. This matchup turned into one of the most harrowing moments in PBR history, nearly costing Steverson his life. Steverson was bucked off mid-ride, and the bull landed directly on the side of his head with devastating force. The impact caused severe trauma, including a fractured skull, brain swelling, and internal bleeding. He was unconscious for several minutes and had to be stretched out of the arena. He also required an emergency airlift to a hospital. Medics on the scene stabilized him, but the injury sidelined Steverson for months. Remarkably, he recovered and returned to competing, showcasing the resilience that defined his career. The incident highlighted the extreme dangers of bull riding and led to discussions on improved protective gear in the sport. These stories prove it. Bull riding lives on the edge of life and death. 8 seconds might make you a hero, or make you a memory.